Hi folks, my name is Scott Mills. This concept map is a multimedia presentation part of Assessment 2 for Literacy and Numeracy across the curriculum. My chosen subject area is Media Arts and my chosen year level is Year 9. The topic is documentary filmmaking. This is a quick overview of my concept map before we dive into the individual sections of the map. To fully deliver pertinent elements and sub-elements of the literacy and numeracy learning continuums, I have devised two activities relevant to the topic of documentary filmmaking. The representation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people will be explored. Students will learn about how audience values impact production context, and in relation to skills and processes, they will use appropriate scripting techniques, demonstrate role responsibilities, understand the application of documentary techniques, and develop group timelines. In the first lesson, I would like the class to work together and storyboard a non-fiction documentary, comprised of multiple documentary codes and conventions that they have previously learnt about. The documentary should be centred around a historical scientific event and its lasting impact on the youth of today. Students must adhere to the strict production timeframe, so they will need to plan and produce a production timeline. While everyone is to take part in the storyboarding and writing of the script, each person should be assigned a production role and identify the contextual responsibilities of that role in the documentary production process. The literacy elements involved in this task are comprehending text through listening, reading and viewing, composing text through speaking, writing and creating, visual knowledge, word knowledge and grammar knowledge. The numeracy elements involved in this task are spatial reasoning, using fractions, decimals, percentages, rates and ratios, and using measurement data. During the task, students are evaluating the purpose and usefulness of documentary techniques they have identified in past texts and interpreting their use in their own class documentary. They will be creating the production storyboard as a learning area text and will have to use appropriate and effective language to communicate their ideas with each other. The use of subject-specific vocabulary is key in producing the storyboard, such as mid-shot, high camera angles, and extreme close-up. They will also have to use spelling knowledge for difficult-to-spell words, such as mise-en-scène and cinema verite. The students will need to make appropriate decisions regarding camera shots, movements, and angles in order to achieve a satisfactory documentary production. Evidence of the numeracy learning continuum is available in this task, where students will use spatial reasoning as a tool in identifying how the positioning of props, camera, equipment, and actors influences meaning. They'll be using rates and percentages to plan the technical codes of the production. This includes frame rates and zoom percentages such as close-ups at 20% and mid-shots at 44%. While the students are using measurement data to evaluate how long each shot needs to be, they also have two timeline elements. The first is their documentary theme, the second is the documentary production timeline. For my second topic activity, I will have the class watch the 1986 media work Barbecue Area, directed by Don Featherstone. A mockumentary produced by the Australian Broadcasting Corporation television service, it offers a satirical examination of the complicated historical and contemporary relationships between Indigenous Australians and European Australians. It also encompasses the cross-curriculum priority Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories and cultures. Documentary filmmaking techniques such as cinema verite and hosted narration are emphasised and exaggerated in this media production. Media constraints are highlighted where Indigenous Australian culture requires heightened sensitivity when featuring deceased persons in the media. The impact of intended audience values saw the satiricalisation of Indigenous Australian treatment rather than the more violent, truthful depiction.
What do you call this place?
It's a barbecue area.
Barbecue area? They call this barbecue area.
The literacy elements involved in this task are comprehending text through listening, reading and viewing, and visual knowledge. The numeracy elements involved in this task are spatial reasoning, using measurement data, and recognising and using patterns and relationships. Throughout the viewing of this media work, the students are navigating, viewing, reading, listening, responding to, interpreting, and analysing a learning area text. It solidifies their understanding of documentary techniques and the classification of documentary filmmaking. In reference to their visual knowledge, the students can understand how visual elements create meaning. The recognition of historical timeline events alluded to in the media work is representative of using measurement data. Each subject has a unique and specialized range of vocabulary that is necessary for teaching and gaining a deeper understanding of the topic. Vocabulary across the curriculum is broken down into 3 tiers. Tier 1 are general or basic terms: audience, constraints, actor, genre, context. Tier 2 are intermediate or polysemic vocabulary: trends, codes, storyboard conventions, and style. Tier 3 are subject-specific terminology known as technical or disciplinary vocabulary: cinema verite, mockumentary, mid-shot, low camera angle, close-up. When teaching subject-specific vocabulary, the 2 activities I have devised are vocabulary squares and semantic mapping. Because most subject-specific vocabulary for media arts pertains to tangible and visual concepts, vocabulary squares are perfect for visualizing camera angles, camera shots, camera movements, color, and lighting, while understanding the particular context they would have been applied to. Students have the concept, then they have to define it, explain the context in which it would be used, identify which SWOT code it falls under, and draw an example of it from the camera's perspective. Semantic mapping is a graphical representation of concept relationships. Students place the topic, documentary filmmaking, in the center, then form branches of related vocabulary from there. Semantic mapping allows the student to relate unknown concepts to existing knowledge, promoting topic understanding. So, that concludes the concept map for my topic of documentary filmmaking in a Year 9 Media Arts class. Thanks for listening.